Classic case of mechanically gifted player lacking game knowledge? No. What? That's not not lacking game knowledge, but you have to realize like a player can be really good and have good game knowledge, but they might not be good at like they are playing their own game. Everyone's playing their own game, right? They might not be good at assessing like jungler's POV. Like I know a lot of laners that are good that are not good at assessing like a jungler's POV. Like oh, like for example, my teammates or not my teammates, but I was talking. I had a conversation with my mid laner. He's like, oh, I want you to gank here to burn his flash, and it's really good for my lane. But then I had to ask him the argument, like, okay, I'm going to lose 2 camps off this. I can't invade his Raptor respawn, so I'm basically losing 400 gold. And I'm with this use of tempo, just super and flash, that we might not be able to even capitalize on. Is this 400 gold worth it to burn, to capitalize, just to give you some pressure in your lane? And he was like, oh, I can move. I remember it was like we were playing Jarvan and Talia against like some Syndra or Orianna or something. And he's like, I can move early game if you exert pressure from my lane. And I basically told him the argument that it's better for me to full clear, right? And get the 400 gold worth because I'm getting 2 camps obviously, and then I'm getting his Raptor respawn, which is another camp. So that's 300 gold, and I'm denying 100 gold, right? So it's basically effectively 400 gold. And I basically told him like, is that worth it? And he said, no, I'll just sack early game. Like, because I told him, what is that? Is that pressure that you're exerting from being able to move early game gonna be worth more than 400 gold? And he's like, no. And then I told him like it's just better in my opinion for me to full clear, rush level 6, get level 6 on Jarvan, playing against like Orianna, and I remember they had like Jinx Karma pot lane. Let's say two immobile champions. I'm not too sure what it was. I kind of forgot. And then yeah, that was basically the argument. He was like, okay. So it was funny because we played and he was like, why didn't you gank? Like I want to we remade because he died something or something like in the 1v1. He got mad. He was like, oh, why didn't you gank? And then I basically gave him the argument like it's not worth it. It's better for me to just rush level 6 and then I can just guarantee plays. I can guarantee kills because I'm Jarvan and to flash his targets. And then he did that the second time. He's like, okay, I agree. After I planned it out for him or talked to him. And I basically told him that, and he was like, oh yeah, I agree. Let's play to that game plan. And yeah. So it's like, some players, they might not understand your POV, but like, if you explain it thoroughly, like I'm sure if I talk to that mid laner, like, oh, if I R here on Kindred, we don't have the damage to get Jarvan low enough, and they will just win side on my ulti because they can just EQ. They have CC, we don't have CC, we don't have even the damage to get them low enough to execute them, even though they use 2 ultis, like, he would understand, right? Like, realistically, good players will understand, but they might not have the upfront knowledge. But if you like explain it to them, it's not like lacking. Does that make sense? Like everyone's only thinking on their POV, not like everyone's POV. I feel like I lose out on tempo and need to learn macro better, so it's nice. I mean, most of the time it's literally just better to clear. Like honestly, I think like I probably have a higher win rate for just like full clearing every game. Like ironically, it's most of the time just better because most of the time when you're skipping out on a full clear is that it has to be like a 80 like. That's why I shouldn't have gank mid because most of the time when you're skipping camps, like it needs to be like a 70% chance of gank working out or 70 like I'd say like 80. Like it needs to be that higher because most of the time when you do that, you're skipping out on like 30 seconds of tempo. You could have finished all your camps by then. And then also, the thing too is like after you finish all your camps, it just gives you a better timer to gank because you'll not be punished as much, right? Even though it's a later timer, most of the time you can like still look for an opportunity, But yeah, so like that game, I think my biggest mistake was just listening to my mid laner and top laner because I'm burning so much tempo, early game and on Kindred, which is not ideal. Like most of the time, if you actually watch my Kindred, I'll literally just full clear, and I think that's just the best way. Like, I don't even invade on Kindred, which people might, like, be like, oh, why don't you invade? But, like, most of the time, it's actually just better to full clear and then risk anything, to be honest. Also, Kindred early game isn't even that, like, Omega broken. Depending on the matchup. But in high elo, like, you won't be able to... Like, high elo, usually they won't pick, like, dog jungles. Obviously, some Kindred matchups, it's really easy to just invade and get a lead. But on... high elo, usually they have like strong fighting junglers. Alright, let's go.